Thank you. I want to welcome you here tonight. Thank you for your participation and support on behalf of not just setting scoliosis straight, but more importantly on behalf of my wife Allison and I. You know, we're here tonight, and I stand before you as a parent, as a parent of a child who has scoliosis. And I think that, you know, the truth of it is that when we learned about our daughter's scoliosis, like many parents, we were hit pretty hard. Our daughter was 9 years old. She had a 50-degree curve in her thoracic region. And the only thing that we really knew for certain was that surgery and surgical intervention in particular was imminent and couldn't be avoided. And of course, like any parents, this set us on a mission to try to understand. We had so many questions. We had more questions than there were answers out there. And really where we found the best answers, the best options, was the doctors behind this foundation, behind setting scoliosis straight. And you know, I can't tell you the countless hours that we spent laboring over the smallest of details. But the truth of it, it comes down to, here are a group of doctors that are simply unwilling to accept status quo. And those were the doctors for us. Ones that were progressive, looking for innovative solutions. And I just have to say that my wife Allison and I really entrusted the future of our daughter in these doctors' hands, and for good reason. And so the thing that really strikes us, I think more than anything else, is you know, what do you learn in situations like this? And what we learned was a couple things. One was that there's a group of special doctors and caretakers, the ones behind them out there, that really make a difference. And they make a difference for many families out there, but I can assure you for this family, for certain. The second thing we learned was that you know, every family and child that goes through something like this, there's a support network behind them, and the depth of love and support that we receive from all of you folks really is quite humbling and quite appreciated. And so that's a really important thing to understand as you're going through these challenges. And finally, we learned a lot about our family. We learned a lot about not just Emma, and I'll get to Emma in a second here because my job is actually to introduce Emma. But we learned about her little sister and Daniela, and how supportive a little sister can be under circumstances like this. And so, and then we learned a lot about Emma, who I'm about to introduce here. You know, for those who know Emma, it would not surprise any of us to describe her as a very compassionate, sweet, caring child. But what we learned about Emma was how courageous she was. You know, Emma was involved in every step of the way in terms of the decisions that we had to make, and we're in uncharted territory. And this child is very aware of the fact that 9 years old, when we're trying to make these decisions, that we chose a experimental procedure called spinal tethering. And she was, I think, about maybe the 22nd kid to ever get this done. There's simply no data. And so that gives you an idea of the trust. And this kid really wanted to understand what it meant, wanted to understand what it meant to her. But most importantly, she wanted to understand what it meant to the kids that were coming after her. And I think that's the kind of courage that, you know, you just don't know that you have in your child until we go through something like this. And so that's probably been the best learning experience, you know, throughout this whole thing. And so, Emma, can you come up here for a second? I know, maybe this is... I've had the pleasure of introducing a lot of distinguished speakers before, but I've never been as nervous of introducing my daughter. And I think it really has to do with the fact that we're just so proud of her in terms of the grace under pressure. She always has a smile on her face. She's always cracking jokes. And she's just been an inspiration to all of us around her. And I think she'll be an inspiration to many kids to come. And I think we have great hopes for this surgery. And I think it's a wave of the future. And I think we're very happy to be a part of it as a family. So without further ado, Emma.
Hi, I'm Emmatisse. I'm 12 years old and I have scoliosis. I remember when I was about 9 and I was going to the doctor's for a regular checkup. My doctor told me I had a huge curve in my back and needed to visit a specialist right away. At first, I had no idea what she was talking about. Then I looked to my mom to see if she could tell me, but I could see that she had absolutely no idea what was going on. The doctor explained scoliosis to us and how serious it was. It wasn't just a tiny curve, it was about a 50-degree curve. They braced me right away, and my family and I researched all the options. We heard about this new surgery called tethering, and only a few kids in the world had gotten it done. My parents talked to every expert out there, and they all decided tethering was the best thing for me. It was hard just watching all my classmates and friends play at PE while I was sitting in a brace waiting to get back to class. Luckily, I had great teachers and friends who helped me through the whole process and comforted me. After about 3 months, they took the brace off and I went straight to tethering surgery. We flew down to San Diego and talked to Newton many times. I remember being so scared before surgery and not knowing what to do or what would happen. Going into surgery, I had to say goodbye to my parents and go off with a strange man I've never seen before. I was really frightened. I grabbed the man's hand and squeezed it to signal him I was a little scared. When we arrived at the door, he knelt down and told me everything would be just fine. That made me feel a little better and I started to calm down. When we entered the room, there were all these strange people with masks on saying the same thing the man told me at the door. I followed the man into a room with a little bed and a big machine hovering over it. They told me I would start to feel woozy and fall asleep, so I wouldn't see or feel anything they were doing to me. So I hopped on the bed and picked the flavor for the gas mask. I picked root beer. They put the mask on my face and I tasted the root beer, my favorite soda. I started to feel numb and my mind went blank as I drifted to sleep. When I woke up, there were presents all around me and people whispering to each other, "Look, she's waking up," and "Shh, be quiet." I looked around for a while my family was hugging me and telling me I was so brave. But all I could think of was, where am I? On the first day, I already wanted to get out, but it wasn't that easy. I had to work to get out. I asked the nurses what I had to do in order to get out soon, and they put a list of things I had to accomplish. 4 days later, I was on the beach with my sister and cousins. I also went to the zoo and had lots of fun. I now need a second surgery at age 12 to remove or loosen the tether and screws because my curve has overcorrected. Once they take it out, my spine will hopefully go back to 0 degrees and we are trying to maintain that. I've had a great experience with tethering. It makes me feel nervous but thankful for having such a great doctor. I'm happy I will be able to move freely for the rest of my life. Thank you.